Okay, well, I am really thrilled to say that this week we've got the opportunity to talk to Paul Riley. And Paul has been part of the church family for years and years and years. In fact, the first time I ever came to the church as a young student in 1987, he was involved in leading the service that was going on that morning. Paul, lots of people will know you really well, but others won't know you at all probably. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jenny and I were born and brought up in the south, but my dad came from Manchester. We moved up to Manchester for my job, and I was a teacher. And we have one son and one cat, and I've now retired. So yeah, that's about me.
Great. Okay, thank you. And so, just to start with, can you tell us how you first became a Christian?
February 1977. Unfortunately, very sadly, we lost our baby daughter. It was a premature birth, and she wasn't very well. Jenny wasn't very well, and the whole thing ended up in disaster. And Jenny was in hospital. I came home that night to an empty house, but with a head full of questions. And I reached for a Bible, an old Bible I'd been given as a child. Leafed through it for some help. Couldn't find anything that was helpful, and threw it down in disgust. It was all these and thous and thys. Somehow we got through. Then a couple of weeks later, I'm back in school. I'm a year 7 form teacher, and the Gideons come in and they're giving out their little Bibles, and they said, "Oh, it's great. This is a modern version, and right at the beginning of the Bible, it's got helps if you need that in a time of need." And so I went and got one of those, and I've still got it here. Sits on my desk now, retired with me, and that was key. And then, strangely enough, I was doing an Open University part-time degree course, and I was needing to pick my second year study. And I decided to do Man's Religious Quest, which was an investigation into the world religions.
Wow.
And they all looked at salvation through the different world religions, and then Christianity in particular, in very academic, highfalutin language, essentially said, Christians believe that salvation is in 2 parts. Jesus died on the cross for the sins of the world, but the second part is individuals have to lay claim to that for themselves. And I just remember being absorbed with that thought, and the idea went through my head. It was a bit like a postman coming to you, knocking on the door, can't deliver a parcel because you're not in, puts one of those little leaflets through the door. The parcel sits on the post office shelf. Doesn't belong to the post office. It doesn't belong to the sender. It belongs to you. But until you go and take your little bit of paper and get your parcel and open it, it's of no use and doesn't affect you. And salvation seemed a bit like that. So that was the little picture that came into my head as I was reading all this academic jargon.
Wow.
I didn't get a very good mark for that particular course, but it gave me salvation, which was something. So
pretty good, yeah. Okay, and that's quite a story, and interesting to hear what comes out of obviously something so hard and so painful as well. So you became Christian in 77 then, or was it 78 by that time? I don't know. But
no, it was 77. We sort of got through the summer. We actually went and bought a Labrador puppy, and so Jenny was starting to get fit by walking the dog, and the Labrador gave us, it didn't replace a baby, but it gave us something to do. And I've been reading my little New Testament and doing my Open University course, and I just realized that actually we needed to be part of a church. It was really important. So Jenny said, I walked past an interesting church the other day. I think it was a Baptist church. And so we said, right, let's go there on Sunday morning. Now, for the day we turned up at Sale Baptist Church one morning, Steve Thomas was preaching, was playing the accordion and throwing sweets out to the children at the family service. And it was really lively and it was very exciting. And I just, hey, this is great. This is wonderful. So we, for the first time in my life, went back in the evening. Somebody invited us to go on a Colin Urquhart Bible Week. And the first night in this meeting, it was a huge marquee tent, and everybody seemed to be very excited, and bands started, and we all started singing something like "Our God Reigns" or whatever. And then, as the praise and the worship continued, they started singing in tongues. That had an effect, physical effect on me, which I can still remember today. It was like an electric shock just went through my body.
Wow.
And suddenly I started to realize everything I'd read in Acts of the Apostles started to make sense.
I really appreciate you sharing that, Paul, and I love hearing something of your story. Just as we finish, anything that you would say you feel God has particularly been saying to you in this season of your life?
This time last year, everything I was opening, everything seemed to be screaming at me. Psalm 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I'm God." And I had never imagined that being still literally meant that I couldn't go out singing in the folk clubs. I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't go shopping and normally, as one does normally. You were literally on lockdown. Never heard the word lockdown before. And now it starts to make sense. But be still, that's relatively easy. I've got used to that. But the second part of the verse is know that I'm God. And so there's a responsibility there of actually giving God due praise, and prayer in particular. So praise and prayer has started to become really important.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. Really appreciate just catching something of your heart, hearing something of your journey and your story. Thanks for sharing with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.